Welcome to part 2 of our discussion on the Java Supplier functional interface. In this part of the lesson, we'll take a look at another concise example that you can get in open source form from my GitHub repository. This particular example is going to show how a supplier can be used for a zero-parameter constructor reference. This particular example comes from the EX7 folder in my GitHub repository, and it's called CRDemo. The CRDemo class implements Runnable, and it defines a method called zero-param constructor ref. And this particular method creates a supplier called factory that's initialized with the CRDemo new operator, which is a zero-parameter constructor reference for the CRDemo class. We then can use the get method on this factory in order to create an instance of a CRDemo object. And that will use the default constructor for CRDemo. Once we've created this instance, we will then go ahead and call the CRDemo run method, which of course is overridden from the runnable interface that we inherit from. As you can see here, the run hook method is simply going to print out the value of a string. Constructor references can be used to simplify the creation of various types of parameterizable factory methods. So let's take a look at another example. This example will be a nested class called CRDemo-EX for extended, and that extends the CRDemo class that we just talked about. And it's going to have a run method that will uppercase the string. So you can see when its run method is called, it uppercases the value of the string, whereas the original version in the CRDemo class just printed out what the current value was. Let's go ahead and take a look at another method defined here called zero-param constructor ref EX, which of course is going to demonstrate a more wide-ranging set of extended capabilities. In particular, this is going to show how suppliers can be used as factories for multiple zero-parameter constructor references. So let's take a look. We're going to define two local variables here, CRDemo factory and CRDemo factory EX. Both of these are suppliers. The first one is parameterized by the CRDemo object class, and the second one is parameterized by the CRDemo EX class. As you can also see, CRDemo factory is initialized with the CRDemo constructor reference, the zero-parameter version, whereas CRDemo factory EX is parameterized by the CRDemo EX constructor reference. So now we have two local variables, both of which are suppliers, which are going to be used to reference two different classes. We're then going to call a method called runDemo. And as you can see here, we pass runDemo the CRDemo factory first, and then we go ahead and pass to runDemo the CRDemo factory EX local variable. And both of these, as we'll see, both of these calls are going to end up calling the run method on these respective suppliers. So you can see here what's going to happen. We're going to have the implementation of runDemo here, which is going to call the factory's get method to make the instance, the appropriate instance, either CRDemo or CRDemo EX, and then call the run method on that. And so you can see we can have a generic helper method called runDemo, and we can pass into it different suppliers, which will have different outputs because they're going to be connected to different constructor references for different classes. So pretty cool. This call here encapsulates the detail of the concrete constructor that's used to create the object. So in one case, it'll be the CRDemo constructor. In the other case, it'll be the CRDemo EX constructor. Let's take a look where we can have constructors that have an arbitrary number of parameters, not just a zero parameter that we would see with a classic constructor reference that's used for supplier. This particular capability here is unrelated to the supplier interface per se, but it is useful to know this trick, and it comes in very handy. So this particular example is going to have an interface that we define called try factory, and you'll see why we call it a try factory in a moment. And it's a custom functional interface that we're going to use for having arbitrary constructors. In this case, we're going to have this work with constructors that have three parameters, which is why it's a try or three factory. And you can see the try factory takes four parameters, A, B, and C, which are parameters that are passed to the of factory method, and then R, which is the return value. So as you can see here, A, B, and C are the three parameters that are passed to of, and then R is used as the return value. It gives the result that comes back from that. So let's see how we might actually use try factory in practice. We're going to define a method called 3param constructor ref to showcase the try factory. We have a local variable instance of try factory, which we call factory, and we're going to instantiate it with a string, an integer, a long, and a CRDemo in that order. And then we're going to say factory gets initialized from CRDemo::new. Well, the version of the CRDemo constructor that new operator corresponds to will be the one that's shown at the bottom of the slide, which is the 3-parameter version of CRDemo. So it takes a string, an integer, and a long in that order. And you can see it sets mstring to be the concatenation of those 3 data types. Then we can use the factory local variable to say factory.of and pass in a string, which reads the answer is. Then we pass in the value 4, which is an integer, and the value 2, which is a long. So that'll go ahead and print out the value is essentially 42, which is the meaning of life and everything, the universe and everything. So this is illustrating how we can use the tri-factory mechanism, which is just an interface we designed ourselves, in order to showcase the ability to support arbitrary numbers of parameters to constructors. So that's the end of part 2 of our discussion of the Java Supplier functional interface.